into our semi-final round. I don't actually know who's playing. Looking over there, I think it's Josh and Keanu. It is Josh and Keanu. Josh with the Landorus Incarnate, Amoonguss, Golden Go, Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Incineroar, and Porygon 2, and Keanu, Inosanto, Joshua Denk, and Keanu Inosanto. Keanu Inosanto with the Chen Pao, the Urshifu. That one's Rapid Strike. Incineroar, Rillaboom, Landorus Incarnate, and Raging Bolt. We saw Keanu's team earlier, and I already forgot what the Urshifu was. I have to look at the Urshifu sprite to figure out which one it is. Excuse me. Semi-final round. Things are things are going great. Interesting matchup here. Both have Landorus, both have Urshifus. Urshifi? I don't know. Plural Landorus is definitely Landorus, though. That's definitely certain. And both have Incineroars. The metal coat on that Golden Go. Likely an plot set. And we are getting underway here. Semi-final round. Winner will head to finals, where they'll face either Tyler or Nicholas, who we've seen earlier today. Rillaboom Landorus, the lead for Keanu. Amoonguss Urshifu from Josh. See what the choice is here. Rillaboom and Landorus obviously have that fake out pressure, unaffected by the Amoonguss, by Rage Powder. This is hit pretty hard by an Earth Power here from a Landorus, and Urshifu hits Landorus pretty hard, but has to be cognizant of fake out, and then probably cognizant of Grassy Glide as well. Might be difficult to get much value out of Urshifu here. I'm not sure what a Grassy Glide will do. Particularly, not really sure if it will follow up or not follow up a Landorus, some Landorus moves. We'll see Amoonguss swap out here. And the Landorus comes in the other direction. So two Landoruses looking at each other, as we all love to see. Early Terrastal here from, I believe that's Keanu. Is Keanu. Gonna go with the Terra on the Landorus. Terra Poison, as we typically see with that Sludge Bomb. And Urshifu will get the U-turn off. Big damage onto the Rillaboom. And not big damage, but like pretty big damage onto the Rillaboom. And what will swap in here? Whatever it is, I would imagine that it will probably eat a Sludge Bomb. Amoonguss will come in the other way, and it's actually just going to be a substitute. So, a weird turn one for each of these players. Oh, and the Rillaboom still gets a Wood Hammer off. Forgot that it still hadn't attacked yet. Hurt by the Rocky Helmet. Somehow Wood Hammer makes contact and Ivy Cudgel doesn't. Rillaboom takes a lot of damage that turn between everything. Amoonguss goes out and then back in. The VGC special. Now the question of what to do about this Landorus in particular, as the Amoonguss probably wants to get a Spore off, but we'll need the supporting Landorus to get some damage off first. Into an awkward spot. It's going to be a Landorus Protect on Keanu's side. Gonna get a little bit more HP back from that substitute. Could get up to about half of the substitute's HP in HP back, or half of the substitute's cost in HP back. And Landorus does get the Sludge Bomb off onto the Rillaboom. So Josh will pick up the first KO of the battle. as Keanu's Landorus sticks around there a little bit longer. It's going to be difficult for Keanu in this spot here, I feel. Having already lost the Rillaboom and with a Landorus, basically the only advantage is that that Landorus is in a substitute right now. I don't think that's that valuable, especially in the spot that it's in because the Terra's already been used. You're kind of a sitting duck for the other Landorus's Earth Power. Who the choice on the switch-in is for Keanu. We've seen the... We haven't seen anything. We see Urshifu now. That's for sure. And this is a nice switch-in. Although it does mean the Rage Powder is a pretty clean option to bother that Urshifu pretty heavily. There is the Rage Powder. And it is a U-turn into that. So we'll take, looks like about more damage in return than it did damage to Amoonguss. And Incineroar the Sociable. We do all know that Incineroar is a very friendly type. It'll come in now. Not going to do much with the Intimidate. The Earth Power coming out on the Amoonguss, not going to pick up the knockout. Should, no, it's Rocky Helmet, so it won't proc anything. The Earth Power onto the Incineroar, nearly going to take it down, but not enough. That narrow amount of HP remaining for that Incineroar might be enough for Keanu. Try to wriggle back into this one. Can at least get a fake out here onto the Landorus slot, which will be pretty valuable. And then his own Landorus, question of what it gets to do at this point. Because then it wants to finish off Amoonguss, but then it leaves the other Landorus still standing at full HP. Or just under full HP. Kind of swap out the Incineroar, bring back in Urshifu. Not going to exert any of that fake out pressure. Josh will switch out the Amoonguss. Bring in the Incineroar on the other end. So we're seeing lots of the same Pokemon here. All the Landorus, all the Urshifu, all the Incineroars. And we'll see the Landorus Sludge Bomb on Keanu's side moving first here. Does not great damage. Honestly, pretty disappointing damage. Earth Power into the Urshifu, not going to KO. So just under the thresholds to KO are most of Keanu's Pokemon. And one more turn of Grassy Terrain should get Landorus back up to full HP. Not that that'll do a whole lot. Now this Incineroar, nice spot to put in fake out pressure on the Urshifu slot. Worst case scenario, swaps back into the Incineroar, in which case it is kind of a free turn. Indeed it is an Incineroar switch in. And the Incineroar, does it get taken down by a fake out from another Incineroar from this amount of HP? It's pretty low, and it did drop the attack stat, however. The fake out does not take down the Incineroar, so very close, but not going to be enough. The Earth Power the other direction is going to be enough to one-shot that Incineroar. So the Incineroar is gone now. There goes that fake out pressure. Keanu does get one knockout off the board. That does now mean the Landorus is able to take down the Incineroar. And the Amoonguss can come back in now if it wants. And potentially drop a Rage Powder to bother that Urshifu, as the Urshifu does not want to let itself get locked into anything other than Surging Strikes, but it can't Surging Strikes in front of an Amoonguss. That might be a solid spot for Keanu to be in. Particularly as the Surging Strikes might not even KO an Amoonguss here, given that the Urshifu will knock itself out in return first. So this should be a pretty clean play. This Urshifu has basically no options other than getting knocked out by Rocky Helmet recoil. Maybe it can close combat, but I'm not really sure. Urshifu will lock itself into Ice Spinner. Probably the ideal scenario for it, to be honest. The other Landorus will get a Sludge Bomb down. But now is when it's going to start getting difficult for that Landorus as the Amoonguss drops, but the Urshifu still stands in the back, and this Urshifu will now drop to the Earth Power. And now it is one Landorus against a Landorus and an Urshifu. That Urshifu Surging Strikes will almost certainly break that substitute and get a bunch of extra damage down. So it's looking like Josh is going to pick up this game here. Earth Power and a Surging Strikes should get the job done. And Josh is going to try to confirm this one even more with the Terra Water on that Urshifu. The Surging Strikes with even more damage, break that sub even more consistently. And there it is, the Terra Water. Surging Strikes coming out. We'll see how much damage this does. First one, I would imagine this breaks the substitute. Takes damage. And it does fade. There's the first hit. How much do the next two hits do is the question. Second hit. Ooh, not that much more than the substitute's health, actually. Little over half the HP. The Sludge Bomb. Gonna have to do a lot here to the Urshifu. Not enough to knock out. And the Earth Power will certainly finish this one off. And Josh Denk, Game 1 victory. A lot of playing around the exact same mons there again. It was the Landorus on each side, it was the Urshifu on each side, it was the Incineroar on each side. The one difference, they're grass types. Both had a grass type, but it was Rillaboom against Amoonguss. And the Amoonguss on Josh's side really got a lot of work done just in terms of threat level, having a lot of HP, having that Rage Powder basically forced Urshifu into pretty unideal spots and basically not allowing it to hit the Landorus at all. They're a nice duo, all things considered, at least in terms of stopping Landorus from getting absolutely run over from these Scarf Urshifus. As we get underway for game number 2, first question is whether either of these sides are going to change anything significant about their leads. Last time it was Amoonguss and Urshifu for Josh, and it was an immediate swap out onto the Amoonguss, U-turn, getting the Amoonguss back in the opposite slot. And on Keanu's side, it was the turn 1 Terra on the Landorus. That's the problem about the Landorus v Landorus mirror matchup, is that you don't want to Terrastalize because that means the other Landorus has a super effective move against you. Like, super effective, its main move is great against you. But if you don't Terrastalize, there's a bunch of stuff that hits ground and flying for good damage. So you are often forced to Terrastalize in certain matchups, and it's a question of whether you can afford it here, especially in this matchup where, frankly, the Terra Poison didn't get all that much done. We'll head into game number 2. Rillaboom Raging Bolt. Different this time. From Keanu, we see the Raging Bolt. And communication was interrupted. Going to reset momentarily. Currently hearing from the tournament organizers to organize things, so we will take a quick moment and both players will reset their things, set up slightly so that I guess I'll be on camera. Either way, we'll get game number 2 underway as soon as possible. Just going to be a quick reset on the on both of these players. I like just the Iron Hands with the booster energy in the team slot. That's pretty cool. I like that quite a bit. And, take just a minute. It's, for everyone at home, just a quick communication error. We will reset to game number 2 here in just a minute after both these players reset their switches real quick. We are in semifinals. Winner of this will play the winner of Tyler and Nicholas. Don't know if we have word on who actually won that matchup over there, but I'm sitting here and have to talk to you on air. Well, I don't get that information. It's just you and me here. Both these players, the top 4. As a reminder, we have, we're not going to be here at Psycho Turtle next week, as a lot of people are going to be up in Vancouver for the regionals. Be back on March 30th. That is not next Saturday, the Saturday after, and it is the Saturday, for our MSS. So don't miss that. Kind of a stacked group of people here for the mid-season showdown. And then into April and May, going to be a lot of tournaments. Tournaments on April 20th, 21st, 27th, 28th. And then in May on May 11th, 16th, 18th, 19th, and 23rd. Lots towards the end of May. So don't be sure not to miss those. Be sure to come on out and compete, spend time, etc. I believe that Nicholas won. Overhearing from the other direction that Nicholas will be the other player in the finals, playing whoever wins this battle here. We'll get back underway for game number 2. So in game number 1, as a reminder to y'all at home, it was it was very close to a mirror matchup. It was a grass type, Landorus Incarnate, Urshifu Rapid Strike, and Incineroar. Keanu had a turn 1 Terrastal on the Landorus, which made it have to play fairly defensive the entire time and made it pretty weak to Earth powers. And that also meant that everything around the Landorus got slowly whittled down between switches on them being the Urshifu and the Incineroar, with Earth powers on the switches until they both got knocked out, and it was just the Landorus left against the Urshifu and the Landorus on the other end. Did get slightly different leads for game number 2 there, but I believe that we're just resetting all of that. And we will get underway for our semifinal round here. Game 2 of the semifinals. Keanu gonna go with the Incineroar and Landorus lead. The Landorus Urshifu on Josh's side. So once again, 2 Landoruses staring at each other. A Landori, I guess. Awkward spot for Keanu's Landorus in particular, seeing the potential for either getting hit by a Surging Strikes or getting hit by an Earth Power, depending on whether it Tranquilizes or not. Could give Josh the opportunity to go for a fairly slow turn and make a couple changes. Also, both of these Pokemon are very weak to Surging Strikes right here. A lot of Keanu's team is fairly weak to Surging Strikes, not necessarily any great answers to it. No Rocky Helmet Pokemon, no Water Absorb, no nothing. Basically, no Overpun Wellspring, no Rocky Helmet. We're going to get the Fake Out on the Urshifu, so I won't be able to get anything done there. Landorus goes for the Earth Power. Does it knock out the Urshifu? Not enough damage. Barely not enough there. And that means Josh's Landorus gets a free substitute off. That's got to be a pretty good feeling for Josh. Urshifu's still standing, and you get a free substitute off, and that means that Keanu's Landorus has to stay worried about what Josh's side is about to do here, whether it's a Surging Strikes into either of these Pokemon, whether it's a U-turn out, potentially, and then what gets targeted by the Landorus. Earthquake gets weakened by grassy terrain. Earth Power does not, so even a switch in of Rillaboom here won't weaken the damage if it's aimed at the right target. It's going to be Urshifu coming in here. And we're going to get the Terra as well from Keanu. It's going to be the Terra on the Incineroar. Terra Ghost? Yeah, Terra Ghost on the Incineroar. So it's no longer weak to either of these Pokemon, but it is still neutral. Not going to resist anything. Oh, it will resist that, actually. Ghost does resist Bug, so it doesn't resist the U-turn, actually. And the Amoonguss coming in return. Most likely to keep that Urshifu at bay. And Landorus will go for the Earth Power into the Incineroar. Good damage, but not actually over half, and it does not have anything too silly. Parting Shot into the Substitute. Substitute does not block that, though, so the special attack does drop for Josh's Landorus, and Incineroar will swap back out of there. Landorus will be the one that switches back in for Keanu's side. Now in significantly less danger from the opposing Landorus, and now with Amoonguss in pretty significant danger of just getting kind of hit. Amoonguss has to be at least a little bit worried here. But still go for a Rage Powder. Amoonguss will go for the Rage Powder here. It will redirect that any of the hits here. Will be the U-turn though, and so that U-turn will just deal a bit of chip to both of the Pokemon. And Urshifu will swap back out of there. And Rillaboom will come in this time. Get that grassy terrain set up. No switches, no Terrassil. Keanu's Landorus going for the Earth Power into the Amoonguss, not going to pick up the knockout. The Earth Power on the other end, going into the Rillaboom slot now. Not very effective. Grass resists ground. And Rillaboom will heal up quite a bit in return as well. Difficult spot to be in now for Josh. Although a big Sludge Bomb might knock out the Rillaboom. It'll do a lot of damage to the Rillaboom for sure. And Amoonguss in the meantime has to feel a little awkward about this positioning. Might want to switch out to get that Regenerator bonus, but doesn't necessarily want to leave the Landorus standing on its own. Keanu will swap out the Rillaboom. Bring in the Urshifu once again. Now putting up that threat once again. Amoonguss uses the Protect. Stall out another turn here. The Keanu's Landorus goes for the Earth Power into the Amoonguss slot. Not going to do anything there. The Sludge Bomb into the Urshifu. See how much this does. Okay damage. No poison. Urshifu will take that perfectly fine. The question it comes down to a question of reads here. Amoonguss can Rage Powder one more time. If it catches Urshifu getting a little greedy and going for a Surging Strikes here, it'll knock it out basically in return. But these Landoruses are just kind of looking at each other, and eventually one of these Landoruses has to kind of break that ceasefire, and I think at this point the Amoonguss is going to end up being questioned. It is another Rage Powder from the Amoonguss. No switches, no Terras. The Urshifu does go for a U-turn. Does take a little bit more Rocky Helmet chip in return, which is back to Keanu. What does Keanu bring in there? It's Rillaboom gets lit up by a Sludge Bomb on the switch. It is Rillaboom again. See what a Sludge Bomb might be able to do to it, if that's what Josh decided to go for. Well, Amoonguss will drop. Now the question is, what's the choice here? Is it the Sludge Bomb? No, it's the Earth Power again, and that's not going to do too much damage at all to the Rillaboom. And that is going to be a tough spot to work the way out of if you are Keanu, since now it's pretty free to find a more authentic way to bring Urshifu into the battle and just start clicking Surging Strikes. Since Incineroar doesn't like it, Landorus doesn't like it, the other Urshifu can't do much about it. Terrascal here to Grass for the Incineroar will certainly slow that, but it also means that the Landorus is going to be able to hit it with a Sludge Bomb pretty hard. There's the Incineroar on Keanu's side coming back in here. Intimidate drops the other Incineroar's attack. And we're gonna get both Incineroars Terrascalized here. Pretty strange. Landorus will protect on Keanu's side. Makes sense. It's the fake out turn on the other side. Want to stall that out, and you know that your Incineroar won't be able to be fake outed. So, fairly free turn. Sludge Bomb onto the Incineroar. Will it pick up the knockout? No, not even anywhere close. Ghost also resists poison. We're learning all of Ghost's resists today. Now, weird spot to be in for Josh once again. Your Landorus is at -1 still. It's been at -1 the entire time. That's been a big issue for this Landorus. And now, Keanu's Landorus is going to start launching out hits. Big damage on the Sludge Bomb. Super effective hit. Incineroar does get the Citrus Berry healing for a nice quarter of its HP back. Landorus, Earth Power onto the Incineroar, not going to be enough. The neutral hit at -1, not enough. And the Flare Blitz should knock out the Incineroar, but it'll knock out both Incineroars. You can guess which one I was talking about as the first option. But both Incineroars should drop here. Indeed they do, both the Terrascalized Incineroars. Get to see the animation of Incineroar falling backwards twice. For any Incineroar haters, that's for you. This could come down to potentially not a speed. Well, no, because Rillaboom's in here now and gets that fake out pressure. There's not much that Urshifu can do about the Rillaboom fake out here. Choice Scarf, and does not want to have to deal with that. Best case scenario for Josh here is probably probably a misplay by Keanu, because at the end of the day, I think Keanu's best option here is fake out and then some kind of finishing move into the Urshifu. Urshifu will go for Aqua Jet to get any damage it can off before it gets knocked out. A little under half to the Landorus, but gets knocked out by the Grassy Glide in return. Still a priority move, but not the fake out. And now we see the Sludge Bomb come out. Josh's Landorus does lose its substitute now from that. And it will use its Sludge Bomb on the Rillaboom. Wow, that did no damage. That Rillaboom is tanky. And Josh will take the loss in game number 2. And we'll move to game number 3 for the semifinals. Keanu Inosanto winning game number 2. And we'll move to game number 3. The winner faces Nicholas Robing in our final round. This one's still close. First game, and it kind of was both games going in opposite directions. The one who got up the substitute Landorus ended up having to just sit there as a substitute Landorus for too long without getting much done. We saw the value of the respective grass types in this one. But this is a very weird battle so far, and we've seen both sides basically mirror in the first 2 games. We saw it in game number 1 and game number 2. Both players brought their Urshifus, their Landoruses, their Landorai, excuse me, their Incineroars, and their grass types. Will either player decide to change things up for game number 3? And will either player decide to go with different leads, different setups? Again, the substitutes went kind of badly in that last game. Or in the last 2 games, excuse me, the substitutes went pretty poorly. They're also an important part of trying to get that Landorus ahead in the early game. We will get a change up. Keanu will bring out the Chen Pao alongside the Rillaboom, and Josh will bring out the Porygon 2 alongside the Incineroar. Both players going in different directions. Keanu getting more offensive, Joshua getting more defensive. On paper, I think this favors Keanu a little bit. The Incineroar Intimidate turn 1 is going to be very useful. And it might be a turn for a lot of switches for Keanu, which could give Joshua a lot of early advantage. Benpao has to switch out early. And Urshifu will come in return. Rillaboom will fake out onto the Porygon 2, not going to be doing much damage, and the parting shot will lower that damage even more. Now it's down to -2 attack. Straight up halved. Looking like a Regigigas out there. The Amoonguss will come in to match this Urshifu. This could be a very slow game number 3. How each of these teams is set up. And Porygon 2 flinched and could not move. We know it was going for a Trick Room. It'd still be a valuable choice here, especially as the Amoonguss has a pretty nice shot at a Rage Powder here. I don't think there's any big downside at a Rage Powder. Worst case scenario, Urshifu goes for that U-turn out, and it'll take damage itself. Just heals with the grassy terrain. It doesn't take that much damage. It only takes about 40 damage from the Urshifu U-turn, which is not much at all against that Amoonguss's HP bar. Porygon 2 bulky in its own right. And also does have that Terra. Down will hard switch out Urshifu. And bring back in Shenpao. Moongus will also switch out to allow Incineroar to come back in, and so Incineroar will drop Rillaboom's attack again, as well as lowering Shenpao's attack after coming right back in. And we will see that Terra Poison on the Porygon 2. Download boosted for the Poison Terra Blast if it ever wants to start launching those out. Rillaboom with a Wood Hammer into the Porygon 2. No damage, just nothing there. At -3 attack. Trick Room gets up now for the Porygon 2, and at +1 special attack with the Trick Room up, it's gonna look a little scary now. Porygon 2 will switch out individually first, so I'm not going to start attacking yet. Amoonguss is going to come in. Rillaboom will swap out after all of that, probably reasonably. Incineroar will come in. So we've seen all 4 Pokemon from Keanu, I believe. The top 4 you see on that screen: Shenpao, Urshifu, Incineroar, and Rillaboom. And we'll see the double switch, so Rillaboom will come back in, or excuse me, Urshifu will come back in as well. That means Amoonguss matches up right into it. And the Flare Blitz up into the other Incineroar, not going to do much of anything. But because of that, it will heal back all the recoil damage. Apparently did, like, nothing. It did, like, nothing. Incineroar lands a Fake Out onto the Amoonguss, stalling out some turns. Parting Shot from the Incineroar onto the Urshifu. It's still in here. It will get its move momentarily. The Urshifu will. And it'll get its move with the Porygon 2 on the field. Download for the special attack once again. It's a U-turn into the Porygon 2 slot. That did a cool 8 damage. Rillaboom coming back out. Not necessarily ideal of a matchup up against a Terra Poison Porygon 2. Porygon 2 back out here now, only has 6 HP off the board after the Grassy Terrain recovery. And with only 2 more turns of Trick Room remaining, Porygon 2 gotten stalled out a little bit, but at some point one of these players has to start using moves that deal damage. Like, ideally. Rather than continually switching in and out. Battle time will expire at some point. So we will see Porygon 2 switch out again. Incineroar comes back in. Drops the attack of the Rillaboom, as it loves doing. Incineroar's favorite thing to do. Amoonguss will protect. Rillaboom gets the Fake Out down on the Incineroar. A cool 16 damage. Parting Shot out on the Incineroar. And that Incineroar will pivot out once again. We have a slow one here. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We've got a slow one here today, y'all. Chien-Pao will come back in. Our best chance at something happening. Porygon 2 switching back in here. Rillaboom switching out. The last turn of Trick Room, I believe, and Porygon 2 will get the opportunity to reset it momentarily. Chien-Pao will use the Protect here. Might actually block a Parting Shot. Indeed it does. It does block the Parting Shot from Josh's Incineroar. Slight opportunity for Keanu. Has the speed advantage with the Chien-Pao, has the fake out advantage with the Incineroar, and the Chien-Pao has full ability to do whatever it wants right now. This is a perfect opportunity for the Chien-Pao to lay down some damage. No minus stats at all, no Intimidate, no Parting Shots onto that Chien-Pao. It can do whatever it wants right now. I'm setting it up for it to like switch out or something. I don't think it'll switch out. I don't see why a switch out would be necessary here. Incineroar will switch out, of course. And Amoonguss will switch in, of course. Your friend and mine, Amoonguss. Incineroar with the fake out onto the Porygon 2, fairly expected. The Icicle Crash onto the Amoonguss, finally some damage, big damage onto that Amoonguss. Porygon 2 flinches, and we're finally getting somewhere. Amoonguss at fairly low HP, it might have to switch out for the Regenerator, of course, to get it back to about half of its HP. Question for Josh. Do you want to switch out the Porygon 2? Do you want to get that Trick Room back up? What is the choice here? I think we all know the answer to that question. That makes it sound like he's switching out. It's not switching out. Amoonguss will switch out. Get the Regenerator bonus. And Incineroar will swap in. Drop the attack of both these Pokemon again. Specifically that Chien-Pao. We'll see what the Chien-Pao goes for. It does Icicle Crash into the Porygon 2. Okay damage there. And Incineroar with a knockoff into the Porygon 2. That's going to be excuse me, that's going to be big getting off the Eviolite. And the flinch on the Icicle Crash. That is a big move. And Keanu finally making a little bit of progress in this one. Shockingly, the one Pokemon on this field that can do any damage, the one Pokemon in the battle that can do any damage, is the only one making progress. But not for long, as Chien-Pao will get right out of there. Urshifu comes in. I can do some damage. Urshifu can participate. Porygon 2 will get a attack and special attack drop on the Parting Shot here, so double switch from Keanu. Will it be the Chien-Pao coming back in? It could be. It might well be. No, it will be the Rillaboom, in fact. Still an opportunity to try to get some damage down here. Particularly against this now fragile Porygon 2. The Parting Shot into the Urshifu will hurt. And if that goes right back into the Amoonguss, that will be an opportunity for Josh once again. Pull back a little bit of that damage. And there it is. Healed to about half its HP, and it comes in on the Trick Room usage. So both these Pokemon, and on the grassy terrain, so both these Pokemon will get a little bit of HP back. Porygon 2 obviously not in the greatest spot. Does have Recover. wants to get its HP back. But the big issue here is not the HP, but the Eviolite. Stats are just way worse. Amoonguss gets hit by the Fake Out. Rillaboom will take some damage back on the Rocky Helmet. Amoonguss flinches on whatever move it was going for. Recover from Porygon 2. Will give it back half of its HP. Should bring it back to full. Nearly full. Surging Strikes onto the Porygon 2. We'll see what kind of damage this does. Looks like it does a little over half in total. Just over half in total. So good damage, and we'll knock out on the next move. But now the Fake Out pressure is not there anymore, which means that a Spore could come out into the Urshifu, which means that Urshifu has to switch. Urshifu has to switch. It's a good spot for Josh momentarily. Like, not good overall, but like good momentarily in the sense that you now get a basically free Spore. Urshifu will swap out, but something is getting spored here. And it will be Incineroar, probably. Unless Incineroar doesn't get spored, unless Amoonguss switches out. It's always a possibility. Porygon 2's attack drops once more. Pollen Puff into the Porygon 2, actually. So it does get to use an attack now. Porygon 2 will attack here with Terra Blast. Poison Terra Blast into the Rillaboom. That's a super effective hit with a download bonus. I think it got dropped by Parting Shot, though, and that did, like, no damage. And a U-turn out from the Rillaboom would bring back in our intrepid hero, Urshifu. Probably going to be Urshifu coming back in, unfortunately for our group here. Bold decision going for a Surging Strikes in front of that Amoonguss a moment ago. Thinking back to it. The Chen Pao would be... The problem with bringing in Chen Pao would be getting hit by the... It is Chen Pao coming back out. So the issue with the Chen Pao is just that you are at risk of getting intimidated again, and clearly Keanu doesn't want that. But in any case, we're going to get the healing back for everybody. Amoonguss can switch out and get back to basically full HP, as we all want. Josh's time is down to 3 minutes. I gotta imagine the battle timer is starting to chug. Listen to the music in the venue right now. I don't have anything to say. Chen Pao, it's gonna be Porygon 2 switching out again. Slowly losing my mind watching this battle. Incineroar coming back in, gets the Intimidate down on the Chen Pao, as we all are accustomed to seeing. Amoonguss will protect, so stalling out a turn here, gonna get a little bit more grassy terrain recovery. Gonna see the Fake Out from the Incineroar was aiming for the Amoonguss. What will Chen Pao do? Icicle Crash into the Amoonguss, not going to connect. And we have a turn that had nothing happen. Now an opportunity here for Keanu to switch out at least one, if not both of his Pokemon. It's an opportunity potentially to go for the secret technique of switching out the Chen Pao and then parting shotting with Incineroar. Amoonguss will switch out, so it will get all its HP back. Porygon 2 coming in. Special attack bonus. Chen Pao will protect. I'll actually stall out the Fake Out with the Protect. A nice decision there. And knock off going into the Incineroar there. That means the safety goggles are gone, and now the Incineroar can be spored. A huge advancement there is that now Spore can come out in slightly different situations for Josh's Amoonguss. And that will be important because these Pokemon have been using so many moves already and not just switching out repeatedly. Trick Room ends, Grassy Terrain ends. And now the peak offensive team right now for Keanu is out. The question is, what do you target here? You have to know that you have to be a little bit afraid of the Amoonguss switch in either of these spots, because that Amoonguss switch in could in fact be a Rocky Helmet. Could be taking a lot of Rocky Helmet damage. Urshifu will just switch out. Incineroar comes back in. Drops the attack of the opposing Incineroar, as is very important. And that Incineroar will swap out into Amoonguss, I believe. Indeed it is. So we get our two switches, our two very important switches. Now an Icicle Crash on the switch. Oh, we're finally getting a Terrastal here. We're finally getting the Terra from Keanu. It's going to be the Terra Stellar Chien-Pao. Okay, we're getting damage here. Everybody stay calm. Stay calm. Sacred Sword. Ooh, that's going to be a Sacred Sword into not the right Pokemon. That did like 12 damage. Sorry, closer to like 18 damage. Excuse me. 2 minutes left until battle ends. But a key advantage gained by Joshua. That is now a broken sash for Chien-Pao. Not that anything on Josh's team can KO it from that range. Rillaboom coming back in here. Try to heal off that sash damage, or heal off that damage, potentially, for the Chien-Pao. The Spore not going to affect the Rillaboom, so no advantage made there. The Terra Blast, aimed at the Chien-Pao, how much damage does this do to the Chien-Pao? Nowhere near a KO. Actually, kind of close to a KO. They did some okay damage. Icicle Crash on the Amoonguss. Not gonna knock it out. Very close to knocking out the Amoonguss and changing the trajectory of this battle for all of us. But that won't happen. We are down to a countdown for this battle ending. 50 seconds here. We are moving quickly now. It's getting exciting. I believe it's the total HP remaining that decides this one, and with no knockouts, this could be a close one. Amoonguss switching out to get back that health with Regenerator. It comes out on the switch out, not the switch in, so that health is available now in the back. Chien-Pao getting intimidated, so does Rillaboom. Rillaboom swapping out, most likely for the opposing Incineroar. The opposing Incineroar coming in here, going to get a little bit of HP back. 15 seconds until battle end. Looks like the battle's going to end with this turn. Chien-Pao will swap out. And Urshifu swapping back in here. We'll see what the choice is from Porygon 2. This is likely going to be the last thing we get to see this battle. It's going to be a Terra Blast into the Urshifu, and I believe that'll do it for Josh, I think? I think Josh has more HP remaining out of this. Oh, we get one more turn. Or do we? See what happens out of that. Very bizarre matchup. Time has run out. The battle is over. And Josh Denk is the victor in that battle. Literally no knockouts for that entire battle, and that wasn't the grand finals. That was simply our semifinal round. Josh Denk with the slow victory. That's what we call balance here in the Pokemon business. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back very, very, very shortly for finals. Don't go anywhere.